Lawrence here from Import Export TV at CMAT Australia in Melbourne, and I've got the pleasure of having Jackie, Doreen, Tonya talking about who you just presented on Will Shipping Ever Be the Same? So, ladies, how was that presentation and what was the audience engagement like?
The audience engagement was fantastic, better than we expected, because we were seeing, people's discussions and their topics being minimal with people attending. So we drew a crowd, which was great, but that's because we're women, right? And yes, will shipping ever be the same? Yeah. The short answer is definitely not.
Yeah.
Like, we're here for the new norm. We are going to learn, and we have learnt from what's been happening in the industry, and we're taking that on and we're developing that, and we're growing and expanding whatever we can do to make things work for the industry in the supply chain. And the next 12 months, we're still going to see similar changes. Hopefully we see a respite in the second half of 2023. But Tonya has talked about the trucking and warehousing, and Doreen talked about the young generation in the industry and what her take's been on the last 2.5 years of COVID. So maybe Doreen would like to say something.
Yeah.
I'll let Lawrence jump in.
No, that's all right. I'm just going to step back and you can do this.
So as Jackie mentioned, with regards to the panel went really well.
Yep.
Surprisingly, we were sitting there, there was probably half an audience, and then as we continued to speak, the crowd grew, which was great. We weren't expecting that, so that was really great. And from finishing there, I've had some great feedback from a lady who's just pulled us over and said, she was absolutely astounded that, there was a panel of women speaking for shipping. So it's a great to the three of us to be industry leaders to support women in the industry, which is fantastic. And as Jackie just mentioned, my topic was to speak about the emerging generation for the industry. So in my perspective, obviously, I entered GlobeLink and the freight industry within the height of the pandemic. Yeah. So for me, this is normal. It hasn't ever been different for me. Yeah. And from what we've experienced so far, I don't see a reprieve happening anytime soon. But as also Jackie mentioned, we've just had to adapt and put in new processes and systems that allow us to continue to emerge and change with the industry requirements. Yeah.
And Doreen, would you recommend other people, the new generation, to come into the shipping sector?
Absolutely. I think it would be fantastic for a younger generation. Tonya also mentioned on the board the fact that freight is an ageing industry, unfortunately. So the people currently in the industry are all of, above 50s, 40s. So it would be fantastic for anybody that is looking for a diverse, ever-changing career that keeps you on your toes. Freight is definitely there for it.
Right. Yep. And Tonya, you talked about transport distribution, and how have you seen so many disruptions taking place in the last couple of years?
Being from a trucking company, we're seeing a lot of you have it at the depots, you have it at the DCs when you're delivering in, there's backlogs, there's rejections. We're just double handling a lot of freight because you got to pick it up from the depot so it doesn't go into storage, but then you can't get a time slot to deliver it out. Yeah. So you've got to bring it back to your yard until you can deliver it out on time slot. There's a lot of double handling at the moment, and the bottleneck's only getting bigger once it gets landside. We're trying to get pick-up delivery done same day, and it's just not a reality at the moment. Mm.
And how important is to be at CMAT having this type of discussion across, a diverse range of industry experts and peers that you get to interact with?
Well, I think for us it was good because we got to speak about shipping, we got to speak about bottlenecks, but we also got to speak about the delays that come not only from overseas but then onshore. People are here to buy equipment, people are here because they want forklifts and things like that. The reality of it is, just because you buy a forklift today doesn't mean that it's going to land in the next 12 months. Yeah. So I think for them as consumers, it was good to see our perspective on what it's going to take to bring their equipment overseas as well.
Yeah, true.
Unfortunately, we also had Danella here looking at the legal perspective of what's going on in the industry. Unfortunately, she had to run off to catch a flight, but her panel discussion was enthralling, and legally, I think it was awesome to have that perspective on the panel. And kudos to CMAT to put women in shipping up on a panel to look at the integration of what's been going on. So we
Totally
can
agree.
only thank CMAT for recognising women in shipping and giving us the opportunity to showcase what's been happening in our industry.
Yeah, really well said, Jackie.
And also, just to also touch on Jackie commenting again on the women in shipping, for the panelist for all of us. I think being in such a male-dominated industry, it's fantastic for CMAT to be able to put on a female panel. I know Natalie, who organised our panel, said she actually had a lot of trouble organising female speakers. So I think it's great that the four of us, but the three of us here came together to speak on industry in the in the regards of women in shipping.
Yep.
And I want to personally thank Jackie, because if she hadn't have come downstairs to Extreme Freight and had a chat, I wouldn't have been on the panel as it is. So thank you for inviting me to come sit with you and bring the transport perspective along, because it's ever changing. Fuel levies and everything like that, it's not going to go back the way it was, and it's just to be able to voice that so people know, prices are going up, but this is why, because base just to get it here is going up, and we can't absorb everything. It's just impossible.
Well, thanks for a great presentation, all four of you. Donella here in spirit. Congratulations to all four of you, and thanks for being part of CMAT and such an important event.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.